Looking at all of you, I don't feel I have to say anything. It's very clear. It's clear. Oh, it's clear. So what I'm saying is actually very simple. The one that is here, the one that we take ourselves to be, the presence that we say, I woke up. When we say, I woke up, this I is nothing but God's presence. It is God's light. A person never woke up. If that becomes clear, then rest is very simple. Who is here now? You are present. You are present. Now this presence, is it individual? Is it limited? Does it have a desire? Does it have a tomorrow? Check and say very simply, without trying to go into any state or find some experience. You that is here, tell me about it. What can you say? क्या लगता है? The presence that is here, what can you say about it? Do our states or life events, do they affect this presence? Then who do they affect? Who else is here? If there is a birth of anything, it is only of this presence. After this, nobody is born. The ego or person or individual has never taken birth. Where can we meet this? Let me translate it simply. So, to see that this presence is here, or to find that this presence is here, which of the senses did you have to use? None of the senses. Then how do you know it is here? Everybody is together in this? You didn't have to use the senses. No? You did not see it with sight. You did not hear it with hearing. I'll cut it shorter because my throat is bad, but you get the point. Then if you did not perceive it through senses, then through which mode of knowledge, in which way are you confirming that you are here? ये कैसे पता आपको कि आप हो? क्या आपका मन ये बता रहा है? क्या आपका सेंसेस बता रहे हैं? So the confirmation of this presence comes in an intuitive way. And once you find this intuitive way, your life will change. You see? It's because when you discover this intuitive way, this is what I've been calling the way of the heart. In the way of the heart, you can rely on it for everything. You don't have to go to the head at all. That which can find your presence. You see? Because this presence is where this world emerges from. So that which can show you your presence, that has the intelligence to run your life also. So that in which, the light in which your presence is apparent, that is the light in which our life and everything in terms of what we need to know to live, and most importantly, the source from where even this presence emerges from, becomes apparent to you. And whose presence is this? This is not your individual presence. It is God's presence. It is God's light. It's that simple. To find the truth is this simple. To be free from desire seems difficult. Even with this, we may put a desire saying, good, this is simple. Am I free now? You see, the minute you insert the false I, then that becomes problematic. You see, because that I is which one? Who wants to become free? Was never born. They just stop me. On Monday, Wednesday, Satsang, there's no real broadcast. This is just they're sitting like in the room itself. So don't feel like in whichever language, whatever you want to ask, if this is seeming too upar se, or too simple, whatever, you can just tell me, because the point is we're meeting here and I want to give you the gift that I got fully, because I don't know how many days you're here, but fully if you can have it today, then it doesn't matter.
So if I may, Father. So
you were fully camouflaged with that. I didn't see you there. It's truly a camo shirt.
So it is very evident, very obvious, and on those weak moment I would call, and at that time, at those moments, when it comes like a storm. And after those moments, I know you will say, I don't know what you will say, but let me again use my mind here, where it was, it's the beginning of you losing confidence. Like you multiple times, day in and day out, you are emphasizing it's so simple, and even after that, if I keep on losing it, then there is a lack of confidence. So I don't know, again, this self-confidence is a self-mind confidence, which is trying to play a trick, saying that you are losing it. But that's the play. Like even after day in, day out, thrice a week, we are still there. And then one of the Sufi song it came up yesterday was something meant that even from your darbar I am going empty-handed. Then where I will go? So that's really hurting, Guruji. I don't know where to.
Thank you. It's very heartfelt what you're saying. Okay. When you're fully, let's expand on your metaphor itself. Like you said, I go from your darbar empty-handed. No? When you're fully empty-handed, are you free or are you bound? Let's continue with your metaphor only. So you say, I go empty. I know the way you meant it was different, but let's use it like this. You're empty. You don't know. You're losing at this game of spirituality. You're not finding it stably. It comes and it goes. But it is undeniable for you that it comes. The reality is not now just a purely conceptual idea. Is it? It isn't. So, how many in the world can even report this? Not many. See, so if you take the 8 billion that we are now, out of that, very few will, if you tell them that, have you met God? They will not say, I met God, and many times it's here, but sometimes it goes away when I'm troubled in relationship. Most will say, no. Most will say, I want to meet God, I haven't met, I believe that God is true. And many will say, there is no such thing, it's all nonsense, there's only me, there is no God. So already where you are, where you can even report to someone and say, I met God, but I don't always stay with Him, because the tentacles of Maya sometimes pull me in. So to even have lived in this life and to even confirm that I've had a glimpse of God's light within myself is already a big gift. So the mind's trick of frustrating you like this, saying that, why can't I always stay? But what are you talking about? You're talking about God. That you met God for a moment is already a beautiful gift. Already a beautiful gift. So the starting point is already beautiful. Although of course I will push you. Of course I will push you deeper and stronger. But don't ever let the mind convince you that it's pointless. You're going empty-handed. Because it is just not true. Because God has blessed us by His grace. And we must always be grateful for that. Because we could have been lost like we were years ago, where God was just a piece of fiction or a question of belief or conviction. Now you can truly say, God. So it's very much a beautiful problem to have, that I have met God, but I cannot always stay in God's light. I sometimes return to the ego shadow. So it's a beautiful problem to have.
I can also see it's playing from the other side also, like the pleasure or the calmness or anand when we are with God. So that also mind is trying to say, if it's a guilt on the other side, is this also some sort of feeling which only mind is playing? I don't know if I'm able to. So it's like,
yeah, it'll play both ways.
Yeah, and the both way it is saying, even if you're with God, feeling good.
The pleasure of God is not a guilty pleasure. You see, it is a pleasure of, if there is anything worthwhile in our existence, it is this. See, because I realize many of us go through this where our mind says, but you're being irresponsible. You see, just you're spending all your time in God's presence, you're not ambitious, you're not planning for the future. You get all that pressure from family, and sometimes our own mind gives us those pushes as well, that this is not fair, everyone else is struggling so much, you're just sitting. So when it is there, it will push you with this, saying, this is not right, you must go and struggle like the world. And when it is not there, it will say, see, you lost it, you can't have it forever. So both ways it tries to create trouble for you. And that is why I'm saying that just don't worry about whatever is in this top story. It's only stories there in that top story anyway. Don't worry what it's saying, because it cannot report the truth of anything. Can it report the truth of right now, what this is? Not one moment it can tell you the truth about. See, what is this? What is happening here? Not just in Satsang, any situation in life. The mind is too small an instrument to be able to fathom the what isness of even one moment. And yet, in its hypnosis, say, this is happening to you, you're missing the point, you'll go like this only, like that. It'll tell you all of these stories, but they're not true. You see? Now, for most of the world, they do not realize that there is another deeper source of knowledge. There is another deeper source of knowledge than the mind. Many times after we come to Satsang also, we feel like, what did I understand? क्या समझ आया मुझे? And then it sounds like very bad news if the answer is nothing. Should we start with the very basics? From ground zero to get us back to ground zero. How do we know the world? How do we know the world? Like you are sitting in a room right now, how do you know that? You perceive it. No? So, a lot of our knowledge is also perception, isn't it? Besides that, is this world flat or is it a sphere? Is this earth flat or a sphere? Sphere. How do we know?
Scientists
Correct. So that is not perception. Mm-hmm. So beyond perception, also we buy into
Data.
Concepts, data, exactly. So we have conceptual knowledge, but when it comes from credible sources, when we say this is true, even overriding our perception sometimes. You see? Like you may feel like in your perception we are not moving, we are completely stationary. In our perceptions we are completely stationary. And this God is also completely stationary. Alright, so you're saying that one mode of knowledge is through perception. You're seeing you're in this room. The other mode of knowledge is through learned knowledge that people have told us. We have a concept. You see? Now, when a concept appears to us, for it to be true, does it automatically become true? If I say to you that, oh, in the next room there's a unicorn standing. You could believe me because it's coming from me. So you could say, it's tough, but because it's you, I'll believe you. But without that belief, you will not take it to be true. So the process of giving belief is to identify. Who has that? Who has that power? Who can believe or not believe?
Mind.
Mind is just a bundle of thoughts. So it can be at best the presenter of these thoughts, if you were to take it to be something. Presence. But the power of belief is only with consciousness, only with presence. So perception through attention and identification through belief. In that process, this life seems to be functioning. But if I was to say to you that anything that is valuable or truthful, you cannot believe in this way. You cannot take to be true either as perception or as conceptual knowledge. What will you say? How do you all feel? If I say to you anything that is useful, you cannot meet either through perception or through conceptual understanding. What would you say?
Useful can be met, not the real.
So unreal can be useful. We'll come to that in a moment. But let's take real. I accept what he's saying. So, okay, real. If I say to you that what is real cannot be met through concept or through perception, What would you say?
How can it be met?
Hmm?
How can it be met?
Yes. So first we must admit that with the tools that we have in our hands, we cannot do this task. So if I give you a weighing scale and tell you what are the dimensions of this room, you have to first admit can't do it with weighing scale. Admit it. Then the question is, what else do we have? He said. So if perception won't do it, if concept won't do it, is there anything else? So first you have to explore and tell me if there is anything. Presence. Through this presence, how will you find that which is true? So if I say to you, were you born? You see? Now your spiritual knowledge in the head will say, no, I wasn't born. I am Amar, Atma. No. Spiritual knowledge will tell you. In the perceptual realm, you will see, oh, I am this body. Of course it was born from my mother's womb, I've been told all these things. But there's another answer that comes from presence. And what is that answer?
No.
I don't know, it's not a bad start. Were you born? You know what your mind will say, you know what your senses are also saying. But is there another answer available to us?
It is also knowledge from data, like I don't remember being born.
Yes.
People have told me that.
Yes. So people have told you that you were born, so that is from data, from concept, and you correlate that with the perception of this body and the feeling of these sensations at the moment, isn't it? So you're using both perceptual and conceptual knowledge to say, yes, it has to be said, looking at the way of the world, that I was born. And yet, because I've read the scriptures, I've been to Satsang, I also know that I wasn't born. So that can become like a battle of concepts in our head. You see? One set of concepts saying, but you are a person, you have to lead a good life, you were born to this mother, this is your birthplace, this is your date of birth, all that we write. No? On the other hand, when we read spirituality, it's like, you are the unborn, you were never born. You see? That's why spiritual seekers are so confused. So confused. But the point really is to get to the right instrument first, before we can make a claim on the true spiritual answer. So, one tip for that is to see if you have loved your master unconditionally, or a person, another one unconditionally, or your children or parents unconditionally. How do you know that love?
Just there. It's just there.
But how do you know what is just there?
Just now.
Huh? Just now and just there, both temporally and spatially. How do you know this? Is it visible? Find that love and see that many times actually emotionally you may be angry or frustrated. You see, with that person or with that guru or God or whatever. So in the emotional taste of it, it may be frustration, not love. But yet you say, do you love your children? Do you love your master? Most masters are meant to frustrate us. And yet we love them. Because we feel frustrated because they're squeezing the concepts out of our head. But we still love them. Where is that love known? Frustration we know is an emotion, it comes, it goes. And also the worldly love, we know, oh, I love you, so much, I can't live without you, that kind of love. And then next day, I need my space, please, you're crowding me, give me my space. You see, so that kind of love is not what we are saying. That which is independent of these feelings. There is a deeper love. So where is that known? If we say we love God, or we love the Guru, or we love our parents, or we love our children, or we love our beloved, how is that known? Is it just a mental love?
Not in the head.
Yeah?
It's not in the head.
Not in the head, exactly. So where is that? Okay, so with me so far? Who can recap? It's the basic thing.
Where we feel this love.
Okay, that's the present. But the recap is that I'm proposing to all of you that there is another type of knowledge that we are unfamiliar with. You see? Beyond perceptual knowledge and conceptual knowledge, there is a deeper knowledge. You see? And one way to access that knowledge, you see, is to find love in our heart. Because that love is not conceptual and that love is not seen. Because many times we experience an emotion which is the opposite of that love. This anger, frustration, other things. But we know, I love my master, I love my parents, I love my children, I love my partner, whatever kind of love it is. So if I was to tell you that latch on to that love and let it lead you to where it is coming from. Let it lead you to where it is coming from. That will show you God's presence in your heart. Because for many it doesn't seem that straightforward. When I say, can you stop being? Many of you can just come directly to the presence. But for many it seems still difficult. So for them I want to say that all of us have love in our life, and at this point also there must be some love in our heart for something, although it is truly impersonal. You can follow that love. Where does it come from? With me? No? No? It's okay. No? So, we'll do one recap for you. Start from the beginning. For everyone. Come.
So we have multiple, we have gathered so much of the knowledge. Some of them is conceptual, some of that is based on some reliable sources, some of our own concepts. But
You're doing well, you're doing very well. So, you can see this body in front of me. So you say, where is Ananta? सामने बैठा है कि नहीं? हिंदी और हिंदी is good? हाँ. So, now this way you know that through your perception, through sight, you know that there is somebody sitting in front of me. In the same way, you know many things, not through perception but conceptually. Are you a good person?
Yes.
You know you're a good person. How do you know?
I'm good.
You have a concept of it, no? है ना? So, and because it is a strong concept, other people may come and tell you, no, you're not so good. But you say, no, I'm good. What do you see? So, that is conceptual knowledge. That is the knowledge that we know in concept. Same way we know that this earth is moving. Although it feels completely stationary when we perceive it, it seems, if somebody was to not have that conceptual knowledge and say, and you go to that person and say, this world is moving, this earth is moving really fast, it's going like this, and like that, like a top also, say, you're crazy. Look at it, it's completely flat, no movement. You know? But we believe that conceptual knowledge as well. Now, for most of spirituality, most people have believed in God in this way. You see, that I believe in God just in the same way that we believe in our goodness, or just conceptually. But I want to show you God. I want to show you God, because just believing, though you came with belief, otherwise you would not come in satsang. So I don't want to make your belief stronger, give you conviction. My job is to show God to you. But to show you God, I first have to introduce you to the instrument through which you can recognize God. वो ऐसे नहीं होगा. Through perception it won't happen, and through thinking it won't happen. See? So most of us feel like, but that's all we have. Take away all perception, you take away all concepts, we don't have anything else. Most believe that. And that is why I'm saying that you know something deeper than that, because only through that you have recognized love. You see? Do you see that love? As a perception, like, have you seen that love? Yeah. So that kind of love, is it permanent? Don't worry, I'm not, I may look scary because my beard, I'm very, very harmless. Just like we're talking like friends, don't. So that love which comes like, oh, I love you so much, all of that we can perceive, no? That we feel it like that. It's a feeling love. But that love is not permanent, because that love tomorrow will become irritation. Say, no, leave me alone, I'm tired of you. All those things happen. But you may have a love for someone which is permanent, which is independent of that feeling. And that someone could be God, it could be parents, it could be children, it could be partner, it could be anybody. You have experienced that love? Independent of what feeling may be there?
Yeah.
So, that love, how is that recognized? So suppose that love is for God. No? How do you know like you love God? कभी कभी गुस्सा भी आता है भगवान पे ना, मेरे साथ ऐसा क्यों कर रहे हो? Why do bad things happen to good people? All of these things. So, and yet, if you were to ask, do you love God? Yes. Yeah, it doesn't have to be God for everyone. It could be parents, children, beloved, anybody. In the same way, you know that you are here. Do you know you are here? Do we only know that the body is here through perception? Is that what our answer is when we say, I am here? Everyone? With me? Because this point it may seem a little strange. ये सब बोल रहे हैं इसलिए? I want you also to get this gift which my master gave to me. And you're here for how long?
It's your first time.
First time.
हाँ, first time तो ठीक है, पर कितने देर के लिए होगा?
Today only.
Today only, no? So today, by the time you leave this room, you should have my gift. Yes?
Yes.
And it's very simple. कुछ difficult नहीं है इसमें. Don't think of it as something difficult. Okay, so that you are here, are you just talking about yourself as a body?
No.
Something else is also here. No? What is that? Suppose you could not perceive this body, your eyes were closed and no sensations of the body were being perceived. You still have this sense that I am here, isn't it? I am. Now this is what we are calling the presence. Okay, so this is what we are calling the presence. Try to stop it, like don't be. Can you do it? Huh? Just don't be for one moment. Just try to stop it. Like, shut up. Can you do it? Huh? Try karo. Try karo. Try to stop it. Just try to not be. Can you do it? Huh? No, right now. Just try. Do it. happened? Keep reporting. What is your experience?
Peace.
But you are there independent of just this body, isn't it? Huh?
Independent.
Independent, exactly. So this presence, see if it wants something, that which is there independent of the body, see if it has a desire. Does it have a desire?
No.
Don't think about it, just meet.
Independent.
कुछ चाहिए क्या? So that presence is your Atma. That presence, which you cannot find through senses, you cannot think about it, but you cannot switch it off. I say, don't be, but it's apparent I am. This I am presence is the Sadguru presence, is the Atma, is the Holy Spirit, is the intuitive light, is God's light, whatever words you want to put.
So this I am doesn't have any preferences.
Doesn't have any preferences. Check. If you find one, report and tell me. Check for yourself. Does it have a desire, preference? Is it changing with time? Is something above it or below it? Is it within space? Is it inside the body? Check all these things. Yeah. Checking.
It feels scary sometimes too. Like I want to snap out of it. I know it seems like risking too many things.
Yes, it is a big risk.
So how do you like? I mean,
Accept it. Accept that it is a big risk. Everything that you have valued, you see, has been false. Rather than reassuring you, see, I want to tell you the truth. See, because you can only risk that which will go.
That's why I had to go out when you looked. I just want to snap out of it. It's
Don't worry, it's not
overwhelming.
Yes. It's happened to many, don't worry. To many, you can feel like when I started sharing Satsang, there was a very dear friend of mine. We met at work and I had shared so much. She was much younger, like a child. So over the years I've been sharing with her. But after meeting Guruji, when I met her, she said, I can't meet you now because I'm too scared. I look into your eyes and I
It's
just want
like
to run.
I didn't want you to look at me when
Yes.
you
Don't worry. I'm familiar with that because, and over the years it happened a few times where someone says, no, I'm not ready yet. You see? Because this seems too much. It seems
it's
too
like,
much.
normally I say that I do want to know what it is, but when I'm even a little bit closer, it seems too much.
Yes. So the mind will propose to you that danger is coming. You know? The mind will propose to you that danger is coming. Okay, I've got to use one of my favorite metaphors. Suppose the false is the thief and the truth is in your heart. Now, as you're close to catching this thief and asking it to go, do you feel the thief will come, will say, yes, it's very good, keep going? It will say, Bhago, tum dusre direction mein ja rahe ho, you're going wrong. You see? So if you trust the thief for how to catch the thief, then you'll keep running around like this. You see? The mind is telling you, I'm scared. There's a movie called Revolver, which is one of my favorites. So So in that there's an elevator scene where the mind is about to lose his mind and just find the truth. But the mind says, I'm scared. I'm scared. Yeah? So it whispers to you like that in your ear. And if you go with that, then you go with that. But the point is that's why I'm introducing you to a deeper knowledge, which will only feel more and more at home here. The mind is getting scared and will find escape mechanisms for you. But somewhere within you, that which has got you to satsang will also feel at home. So, many have come to satsang as atheists or suffering with so many different things and not getting any answers to those things, but finding something which is greater and deeper in their heart. And that is something that I would encourage you to trust. I cannot force that, of course. I cannot force it, but I would encourage you to trust. Because as my master says, nobody comes to the self-realization and says, I regret it. Please give me my old life back. Or replace this with $1 million. Or get me the most beautiful life partner. Or give me the best job. No. So what is it that these ones on the walls, we put their photos, they found? You see? Where some of them like Bhagavan, just in a loincloth. No clothes, very simple life. But if somebody says, you give back what you have found, here I give you the best, highest things that the world has to offer, they will say no. So we can be a bit reassured with that this path which seems so dangerous to the mind actually is the only eternal truths. I'll tell you something which will seem a bit stark. Okay? We are on a treadmill, and the end of that running is only death. You see? So actually the life that we are leading right now is the one that is going to death. This is the one that is scary. What I am pointing to is your eternal life, is your deathless life, which is not in time. But to the mind, which is the loyal for the false, which is the loyal for death, actually tries to come and scare you. You're not ready yet. Scared. Yeah, it'll say like that. So see if you can find a deeper calling, which in spite of that experience, it brought you back. Something brought you back in spite of that experience. There are some who came who left also. One very sweet child, she came, Gopala had met her at the airport or something. And he said, I go to Satsang with Ananta-ji, you also come, it's very nice, he's very loving, all of that. So after she came, I was reading maybe Ashtavakra Gita those days. She heard me for 2 minutes and I just looked at her and she was just, like that. So I said, what happened to you? Can I just step out for a moment? I'll come back. So I said, yes. If you just want to go, there's the exit door. It was a different room that time. Exit door, or there's a balcony, you can go there. She said, yes, I'll go to the balcony. She went to the balcony. Gopala went and spoke to her. She came back. She said, yeah, it's good. I'm good. Then I started speaking again. Within 2 minutes, her face went. And then I said, what happened? What happened, my child? You can be comfortable. What's happening? Do you want to go out again and come back? She said to me that, at least as far as I remember it, and Gopala can correct me, but she said that, no, it's not you, it's me. I don't feel like I am ready for this. So I just have to leave. And she left. And she said that when I'm ready, I'll come back or something like that. So it can happen. These things do happen. This can seem so fearful, but actually, if you truly look, what is scary? What is scary? That we will have to, like you said, it seems too much of a risk. Now, remember one thing, whether you hear anything else in satsang or not, there is no such thing as riskless faith. There is no such thing as riskless faith. No risk, no faith. So, those who are in satsang with me, I tell them that you have to risk your entire life for me. I'm not telling that there's no risk, you'll be fine completely. You want God, what are you willing to risk? Is it? Even if you go to a shop to buy a mobile phone, you're risking money. Now you want God, what are you willing to risk? So, the discovery of God is possible for those who are willing to risk. Even if they recognize they are scared of something.
There is always this fear, like what if I risk anything and nothing happens to me? I die like a normal man.
Correct. That risk you have to take. Because another new one who came to satsang the other day said to me, okay, I will give up internally. I'm not asking anyone to give up anything outside. I will give up everything internally. But then what if I don't find God?
We don't even know what it is.
We don't know, you see. And for this strange, absurd man who's telling you all these strange, absurd things, are you willing to risk it? You don't know. There is no guarantee. You have set the table for the guest to arrive, but will the guest come? Our job is to set it with full faith, with full devotion, with risking everything for a moment of glimpse of God's light. That is the attitude of a true devotee. That is the attitude of the true devotee. I'm telling you all of this to inspire you, not to make you feel guilty at all about it, because it's very natural to have these fears. But I want to just elevate you beyond your mind so that when the mind comes to you and scares you, but what if? Say I'm betting it for God. I'm betting it, and it will seem scary. Your words may tremble as you say them. You see? But at least you're living with integrity then. You're living with integrity. I want to meet God, but I'm scared. I don't want to lose my comfortable life, or I don't want to lose my relationships, or I don't want to lose my job or something. Then at least we have that integrity and we are offering that to God. Make me stronger. You see, give me strength to let go. Otherwise, surrender just remains a very conceptual sort of word. Oh, I'm yours, God. I'm fully yours. I'm at your feet, Father, fully. Whatever you say. I say, inwardly be fully empty. You see? And that also sounds fine. But if I say, be willing to lose it all, then that sounds scary. But fully empty means lose it all. Be willing to lose it all. Doesn't mean you have to leave your life, your world, your job, your partner. All that outwardly is fine. But inwardly you have to dedicate your life to God. And then if it is God's will, then all the other things can continue or not. That much risk we have to take to find the greatest gift in this universe. If somebody tells you, who's your favorite movie star?
There are a lot of them.
Who's the most favorite?
Leonardo maybe.
Okay, Leonardo. So suppose somebody said that Leonardo DiCaprio is going to be at Bangalore airport in an hour and a half and he's going to be meeting people. But there is a chance it may happen. So if you really love Leonardo, you'll say, I'll take the risk and I'll go to the airport. Now I am telling you that the greatest being in this universe, that in which our life emerges, in the light of which this universe is born, what is the risk you're willing to take for that one? Not that he's asking for something in return for the meeting, but that emptiness, that letting go, that surrender is a requirement. You can bear Bangalore traffic to meet Leonardo. What can you bear to meet God? What can you resist? So, I'm on a rampage against a very comfortable, convenient armchair spirituality. You see, because that is the marketing that has happened, unfortunately, in the last 50, 60 years in India, where spirituality has become like a self-help thing. You come spirituality, you will become peaceful, you will become prosperous, you will become this, you will become that. I want to remind everyone that no, it is not a self-serving thing, it's a self-sacrificing thing. It's a self-sacrificing thing. To meet God, you have to chop off your own head. Not literally. Because I will not meet you often. Inwardly.
Literally would be easier.
It can feel like that. It can feel like that. That's why it's not enough. That's why it's not enough. Because for our beliefs, many are willing to do that to themselves and do that to others also. You see, but this is beyond your beliefs also, because you have to let go of your beliefs. To be empty, to return to the innocence of a child, you see, is more difficult than anything outwardly in the world. So that with that approach, you become like a spiritual lion inwardly, but you become like usually become like a spiritual servant of the true seeker outwardly. But inwardly you have so much strength because the mind cannot shake you. It will say, I'll take away this from you. You see, because it will play both. No? It tempts you with things and also says, but if you become too spiritual, you will lose everything. So, but once you've already lost it inside, then you will not be pushed around. So I'm just seeding all of this in you. I'm just seeding all of this in you, that may your spirituality be that of a warrior. May your spirituality not be that of a sheep. See, outwardly you may become meekish. You may become sheepish externally in the world. But inwardly you are not going to be pushed around by your mind so much. Because otherwise the mind will keep pushing you and tempting you. So that is my blessing and my love for. What is of value that we have? What will go? This is a bunch of food, no? It's a lump of food. This will go anyway, it's going, no matter a few years. Okay? What else? What are we scared to lose? Thank you. So the mind will come and scare you, but you may risk everything. But what is so valuable you have?
Nothing.
Actually nothing. Actually nothing. That which you may find is the only thing of value. But the thief says, no, don't go there. Is it? Because its dominance will come to an end. Its dominance will come to an end. So, when you have that approach, and even if there is nobody who is 100% surrendered, you see? But what I'm saying is, have that integrity, like you have just now, to say, I want to surrender in my heart, I fully trust you. But when a fear comes about this topic, then I can't let go. Please help me. Then that is our spirituality becomes full of integrity. And then we come to the true spirituality, which is me for God and not God for me. That is true surrender. So you find that. Okay, so what am I doing? What is my job? I found a good metaphor for this. So my job is to introduce you to God in your heart, and then to help you make your life into a temple for that God. Not your body, but your life. It's all for God. It's not to help you. But in the process, that is the only true help you can get in the work. But if you make this about you, then it becomes egoic. I know that God sits in your heart. Not your physical heart, but your spiritual heart. God is your spiritual heart. And I know that the highest gift to the world is to create as many temples to this heart altar as possible. So I am in the temple construction business. It's a good answer finally after many years. When somebody asks me, what do you do? I should just tell them temple construction business. But if they ask me which temple, then oh, the temple in your heart. So, because as I was leading you to this presence, I was just going to say that as you find this presence, your life must now become about that and not about you. As you find this presence, as you find this light within you, our life must be in service to that. Whatever we take ourselves to be now, whether it is the body or the universe, must now become in service to that. So you may find it, I don't know if you heard online or not, but you may find it very different from like usual spirituality, which is saying that, oh, you have a spiritual aspect of your life, you have an emotional aspect, you have physical aspect, you have work aspect, so you have to balance all of that out. I'm saying only God. And if God wants the rest to happen, it will happen anyway. If it doesn't want that to happen, it won't happen as much as you may want it. It won't happen anyway otherwise. So you stop trying to balance these things and try to make the perfect pie chart and flow chart. You find God. You find God first. And once you find God, I will push you to surrender your life to that. So first is to meet God. That's what I was telling my sister here also, that I want to show you. I don't want you to have deeper belief in your head, because that goes. One life slaps us around a little bit, belief is quick to go. But once you have true insight in your heart, then you become stronger, you become unshakable. So I want to utilize this time that we have together so that you can come to a true meeting with the Atma within you, because that is God's light within you. But within you is not, anyway, I don't have to keep clarifying that, not within the body, but within yourself. Within yourself is God's light. These days I've also been saying, I am saying to you that within you is God's light. So, am I lying to you, or am I foolish, or am I stupid? You say, okay, not most, so far at least nobody has said one of those things, but so suppose you say that this, okay, it's true, we believe you, God's light is within us. You see? Now, if God's light is within you, then how can you be bothered about anything? If I'm not lying, and hopefully you can tell that I'm speaking from self-discovery and not just some conceptual knowledge, then if I'm not lying, so I'm presenting for you the possibility of this being true for you. In fact, I'm telling you that it's not a possibility, it is a reality, but under the hypnosis of the mind, It can seem like it is not true. But I am telling you that God is within you. God's light is within you. Now, what is your approach towards life going to be? Your life must change, my dear, that you've got this good news. For all of us. And it doesn't matter, you could be coming to Satsang 12 years or first Satsang. But after hearing this today, our life must change. God lives in my heart. And my life so far has been about the non-existent ego, little old me. Now I'm presenting a completely different perspective to what life is. You see? So either tell me why I'm lying or I'm foolish or crazy, or change. Change, no? Because that me that you're taking yourself to be doesn't exist. I am telling you that God is in your heart. But you cannot just then make the satsang part of, oh, it was nice to meet him, I found some peace, or, it bothered me, or whatever it was. And then say, okay, let's move on with our life. I have given you some good news. The best possible news to receive as humanity, which is to tell you that God lives in your heart.
Ananta-ji, I wanna put something in your feet. The hypnosis that my mind has me in, like, truly just has such a grip over attention. It threatens me with unending pain, and it's just like, I'm afraid, if I truly just rest in God's presence and don't take a position as a doer responsible for this life, I'm just gonna experience hell.
Yes.
And I know how ridiculous that sounds, but the hypnosis is very, very, very strong.
Yes.
And it just infiltrates through my body and constantly.
Yes. And this satsang and all satsangs are a rehab for that hypnosis. You see? It's a rehab for that hypnosis. Because somebody who's addicted to drugs or alcohol also feels like they will die without it. You see? And yet they have to be restrained in the rehab to not indulge. And they realize that not only is life possible, the only true life is this. So, you can also explore that the one who says this hypnosis is too strong, you see, is that part of the hypnosis itself. Check for yourself whether it is the thief just tricking you. I think you can never catch the thief. You are not strong enough.
It is the thief, and it's just the vibration is so intense that I keep falling for it. This voice is clearly the thief. It's the mind's trick.
Yes, man. So, like I was telling you that day, that notice that the vibration itself, whatever you are experiencing, is happening where?
In front of me.
In front of you, in the space of your being, which remains untouched, no matter how strong the vibration is. You see, the space in this room, if my hand was shaking like this, or it was shaking like this, or it was not shaking at all, would it matter to the space in this room?
No.
Your space is that space in which this space takes birth. You don't have to understand it. There is somewhere where these are apparent to you. Your space, your being, your consciousness, your Atma is where all this emerges. So even this space which remains untouched no matter what shows up is more gross than your space. Your space is subtler than that. So how can that be shaking?
Can you repeat that one part again?
So this space is very subtle, untouched by whatever moves in this.
The I am presence.
Even this space in the room. You see, whatever furniture you bring, whatever, it is not affected by it. You see? But where does this space emerge from? Where does this time, apparent time, emerge from? both emerged from the space of your being, which is subtler than even this space. Subtler than even this. So even this space is untouched by what may come or go. Your space is completely beyond all of this. And this you can only recognize, you cannot really understand, although the metaphor is meant to make you understand. But the real point is for you to meet that.
Anantaji, so my presence, this is the truth. Okay.
Of course.
I love Rupert Spira is someone that I truly love.
Yeah.
And I read a quote from him. I read his book, and there was one thing that I didn't understand.
Yeah.
And because of my love for him, just the way I love you, the way I love Muji Baba, because I didn't understand it, it cast a shadow over this understanding, which in my heart nothing can but belief somehow cast a shadow. And
I saw it. I read your message also, and I heard it. So I want to tell you one thing. Okay. And we'll get into the specifics of that if you like in a moment. But if you look at any sage, any master, and you go through their stuff, you will find that it completely brings itself to zero. You will find that if you read it in any quantity, you see, not just one quote and thing. If you read like a few 100 pages of what anyone has said, you will see that they have completely contradicted themselves and brought themselves to a zero. And brought you to a zero, hopefully. In
such
the
is the nature of concepts. They can't
Exactly.
capture the whole thing.
Exactly. Never do it. So, and here also, if you look at even one satsang transcript, if you go through it entirely, I would have completely confused. No? But what happens is nobody listens fully. We listen to the part we are attracted to, and we like in confirmation bias. We feel like, yeah, this is good. This is very good. You see, but we don't hear the rest, which is the opposite of
Yes.
that. Because the point is not to make you conceptually understand, but to bring you to a conceptual emptiness. You see, in that conceptual emptiness, the truth of what is being pointed is apparent. You see? And that is why I don't have a doctrine, I don't have a philosophy, I don't have a template. You see, it just keeps changing, satsang to satsang, the words can keep changing. But mostly, like a good metaphor to explain that is if I find you too much on this side, I will say, come this way. You see, or if I find you too much on that side, I'll say, come this way. So both this way and this way are being pointed to, right? Which can seem like full contradictions. But if you meet the master in their way, you see, and not just in their words, then you will find what they're pointing to. You see? And
Yes.
all the beautiful names you took is there's nothing to worry. It's a great beauty emerging. So I'm not concerned about that aspect at all. But you cannot take something in isolation. Like if somebody was doing that with my words, they'd have a field day. They're like, this doesn't make sense, and this doesn't make sense, and this nothing I'm saying makes sense. See?
May I present the quote and just maybe go through with you so you can catch where my mind is tricking me? Because it's so. Thank you. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Hopefully it benefits everybody. Okay, so this is an excerpt from Rupert Spira, You Are the Happiness You Seek. It reads like this. We all feel that health is the natural state of the body. Why do we not feel that happiness is the natural state of the mind? In this book, I will suggest that it is. That happiness is the very nature of our being, or self, and as such, lies in potential within us, accessible by all people and at all times, with the possible exception of those times when the safety and well-being of the body are compromised. And it's that, so end quote, it's that last part that's like, okay, you may lose happiness or the presence of God. I equate the presence of God when the safety and well-being of the body is compromised, and that just, it makes me responsible. Oh, I need to make sure I'm watchful for this body because I don't want to lose the presence of God, which is ridiculous since I don't exist and it's only the presence of God, but it's something just.
Yeah. I can give you a very harmless way to look at that. Although I really, okay, as an exception I'll do it. Otherwise, sometimes it's good to keep these things burning. It's good to keep these things burning because what can burn is only the false. So it becomes like a Zen. It becomes like a Zen koan. It's like, how will the goose escape the vase? Like, what is he saying? What is he saying? But okay, this one I'll help you with. If you were to look at it like that, you see, if I was to say to you, you can always be happy. No matter what, you can just be happy. It'll sound like good news to you. It'll sound like good. But within a week, somebody will come and say, you know, I was driving to that place and then I almost had an accident, and for that moment I was not happy. So I haven't got it yet. I'm missing the boat. You know, like something like is the boat. So then, okay, sometimes it'll happen. Then in the world you're faced with some danger. Don't expect that you'll be happy, but at least the rest of the time you'll be happy.
And so this is where I think the definition of happiness is.
Yeah, but you're looking at a quote as if it is a Mahavakya. You know what a Mahavakya? A Mahavakya is like there are some sentences in the Upanishads, the Vedanta, which are pointing to like a gospel truth, which you can only find intuitively. But don't make just a simple pointer to something and expect it to serve the purpose of.
The mind has done it.
Yes.
The mind has managed to create
but
this
without
monster
your
out of-
belief, there is no mind.
Yes.
But is this accepted? Because the mind cannot do it. It can propose it. You see, it can say, whatever. Whatever. But without your belief, what is its power? But
So-
see, I know this has been
Okay,
bothering
so
you
this-
many months.
This burning, right, has been kind of a koan for me, and it's led me down this search of what the true meaning of that is. And so this is kind of what my mind can present to you from my heart's findings, because I think it's been a deep exploration. And so this presence, this I am, has a natural perfume. The perfume of the self is joy. Okay. Consciousness, the I am, is in the field of the manifest. So there's the presence of God. Emanating out of this naturally is joy. But this joy is a flavor within the manifest.
Speak intuitively from the presence itself. The mind is an expert in building frameworks and systems. Yeah? Leave that aside. If it is true, it's not going anywhere. So you have this expression like you're going to lose something if you follow what I'm saying. I'm saying leave the framework. Now speak fresh. Presence is here. Or no?
Yes.
What else do we need to understand and build and what is it for anyway? Yeah. It's not a shut-up call at all. I'm happy to continue this conversation. But see that even your most beautiful insight, your mind will try to participate and say, it's presence, and then there's joy, and the joy, it is happiness, and then, you see, but the presence is not doing any of that, isn't it? So for what do we need to understand?
To quench the thirst of the minds.
It is
The
never
mind
quenched.
just wants to get rid of itself.
It
Just to
doesn't,
quench it.
and it will never be quenched. You see, it is the unending appetite. Mind is the
Yes.
unending appetite. If you think that by feeding it this, it will be satisfied and leave you alone, it won't.
May I indulge this guilty pleasure one time though?
Okay.
And let me just let
You
me
put it so
present my
sweetly,
findings
you
because okay, and there is a truth to this, and I've felt the truth, so maybe I'm presenting it intellectually, but I just want to confirm my findings from the past, which may not be alive right now, but I feel it in my heart that they're true. Okay. So the perfume of the self, if the body is harmed, like there's danger coming, a lion coming, maybe temporarily the perfume, because it's in the temporal realm, the manifest realm, can be replaced by pain and pleasure. You know, pain could come, so a body that's threatened can experience pain still. But this is where I think there's one step further to what Rupert said, where in fact there is a solidness which even a lion coming to bite you or someone coming to chop your head off, you never leave that space, that presence. And that presence, peace might not be the, happiness might not be the right word, but it's just full of God and full of light.
So why is it so meaningful for you?
Just so I could rest, shut the mind up and rest in God's presence.
Okay, you're right.
Alright, so like I shut the mind.
Yeah, please.
Nothing in the world can touch me.
Whatever it takes to shut the mind up. Is it a question of being right, or is it a question of shutting the mind?
Shutting the mind.
Because you cannot be right and shut the
No,
mind.
I don't want to be right. I just want to shut the mind up so I can
Then
rest
you're
in
right.
God.
You can shut the mind.
And I can rest.
You said earlier, you want to serve the God within you and not the other way around. What does that mean on a day-to-day basis?
Yes. Very good, exactly what I was coming to. So, you're finding the presence, and now you have no excuse to not follow or serve the presence. So, what does that look like? I'm just getting into that. So, first confirm that you cannot find or recognize the presence unless you're open and empty. It's not possible to be under the hypnosis of the mind and then say, oh, the presence is here or God is here. Because although it is a seeming only, the hypnotism of the mind, the seeming is by God's design. It's not a minor seeming, it's not like a 3D IMAX or something like that where you can just leave it. When you're hypnotized by the thought, you believe that thought, the presence will seem like it is not true, it is not your reality. That is why every single master, every single tradition, no matter what they follow, they will tell you don't identify with your thoughts. You see, in one way or the other. Because under the hypnosis of the thought, the reality of God's light seems to get obscured, and we call that the ego shadow. Now, as you're open and empty, most of your outer life will unfold just naturally. Just unfold naturally, like you're listening now, maybe nodding now, you see, like that is happening. The rest of our life also unfolds like this. So that is the simplest way to follow God's will. Although initially even that will not seem simple, because the mind will come with its temptations and plans and ideas. You see? So that is actually becomes quite effortless and simple to allow the light to unfold our life. And I keep saying this every time, which is that whatever you take your life to be, whether at this point you take your life to be the life of this body, or you take your life to be the life of this entire universe, you can allow it to unfold in this light naturally. That is the first aspect of what this God-surrendered life or God-love life looks like. Then what may happen is that you may feel guided by the heart through the Sadguru voice, through the intuitive voice, towards something to be done or to unfold or to share something. And that also we must follow unwaveringly. Because if this is truly about God's light, then God's light may use that instrument also to share this God love with others. So it'll seem like two ways, but it's actually very simple. The first way is to just allow God's light to unfold our life without any mental interference. And the second is, if you receive some guidance from your heart, from your intuition, then have the willingness and the open-heartedness to follow it fully. That's what our life becomes. So, I usually don't speak in this way of steps, but just to define, first, find God's presence within you, find God's light within you. Because truly we are not living unless that happens. This is not a true life unless that happens. And once you find God's light within you, have the willingness that this life be in service to that light at whatever cost, at whatever risk it may seem like. Now, one word of caution I have, which I've been sharing with some of you kids also, is that the mind is very tricky. It's very tricky, it's very deluded, or it has like a power of hypnosis or delusion. So it will pretend a lot to represent this voice. So that is why for those of you who are coming into God's light and have the feeling to follow God's will in their life, they must find an anchor in Satsang, in the words of the masters, in the scriptures. Find an anchor, because the mind will present many things that will seem very true and even coming from the heart, but they may be just taking us for a spin. So many times it can happen that those who come to Satsang may find what I'm saying, and then the mind will trick them and say, but now you don't need to come to Satsang. Okay, now you can do. You have God's voice within you. You can just whatever. You see? And they get tricked in this way. So it's very important to anchor, to find an anchor so that we don't get into any delusions of grandeur or mental sort of fantasification or something like that.
So, when the intuitive voice will be obvious, is it going to use those words which my mind uses? Is it going? So that voice is coming. The intuition will use my mind to bring that message to me.
No. It's completely heart to mouth. It's completely heart.
Father. Sorry.
No, it's good. She has this echo voice, so whenever she's there, I'm looking for it.
Father, how to make God the center of our life?
Follow God's will. Like I was saying, you found God. Now, are you going to continue to live on your mind's false terms?
Father,
Say it. Yeah,
the mind is full of desires, okay? So
mind is full of
go
desire.
out
Yeah.
in the world, it will distract you.
It will try.
Now, how to anchor, how to be in that center?
Are you more anchored now than when we started?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how. That's how I do. So many of you will find that those desires which used to tempt us so much, and doesn't have to be just desire. I'm calling all a temptation to get angry, a temptation to fulfill a desire, a temptation to follow just instinct, all these temptations, whatever they may be, they don't seem as strong as they used to be before satsang, isn't it? So in the same way, you get grounded more and more, and the mind cannot tempt you so easily with anger, resentment, pride, guilt, lust, frustration. All of these things are not that compelling now.
Mother, you said that I rely on the heart completely for everything. And the thing is that, so even like mundane things, like I'm bored, what should I do? Can I ask God?
So relying on the heart, show me how you can get bored, because I haven't got bored since I met Guruji. 13 years.
I don't feel bored now, but not now, but
That's the beauty of it. In your heart, it is like, for the mind, this sounds like solitary confinement, like a prison sentence or something. But what I'm telling you is that it is so beautiful. I don't want to quantify more because it will make a benchmark. Your mind will make benchmark. But you will love your presence so much, you won't miss. Like, the question of getting bored is not there.
like someone, like what should I order for food?
Yes.
Stuff like that I can ask God.
Yes.
Like, I can even have a
Yes,
conversation.
that's why I said that just being open and empty in God's light, most of those will just unfold automatically.
Like before, how we relied on the mind, the same thing. Like
Actually, we don't really know whether we relied on the mind. The mind was a constant commentator, you see, and many times a post facto commentator on things that are happening, you see. But life was unfolding itself. But if it feels like that, it's okay. I used to rely on my mind, I used to live on my own terms, you see. But now I'm relying on my intuitive insight. But I am proposing a very simple existence. Not simple outwardly, you could be King Janaka, it doesn't matter. But inwardly, a very simple existence. Would you rather just be here? Or would you rather be here and think about what is going to happen tomorrow and the stuff you said yesterday and how to make things right and how to make your life perfect? What is it that you would want? And it's available to you. This simplicity is already available to you. But sensing some but somewhere.
So, mind is like, according to, like as you said, it is technically a third party, right? What relation do I have with it? So there is this I, me, then there is this mind. So if you take it out of my skull, it won't function. So how can it not be, even this question?
According to you, what is it?
That's what the question is.
Before we even made a third party, who is it? Ask the mind, who are you?
I don't.
Huh? One day you came to a bedroom and somebody had installed a speaker there, suppose. Huh? And that speaker starts speaking to you. And they do this, order pizza from Swiggy, get this thing. Huh? And then you say, okay, it's in my room, so it must be representing me only. Huh? If it is you, then why you need a voice to hear it?
Shit.
It's a fact, no. Why? It's okay. It's okay. I've heard much worse than that. So it's just like it calls you and tells you, yeah, this is good. You're being good. This is a good question. But if it is you, why you need this phone call to hear it? You know, no? You see? So just because the voice is there, it is great benefit of doubt to say, okay, it's here, must be me only. So see if it is representing something really. See, whose lawyer is it? It's absurd actually what I'm saying. Most of the world is following this phone call. Hello, you must do this today. But who are you? Nobody asks. Oh, because this voice is here, it must be me. But if it's you, why you need a voice to hear it? You see? It's the most absurd thing. Like if Jyotima was you, she would not need to talk to you, no? You would know. Oh, isn't it?
It's confusing, you see, like
Yeah.
because of the mind I came here. I'm not sure if that is wrong or right, but
Yeah, it is wrong. Many times it happens like this. I was sharing this the other day also. Many times I say, get rid of the mind. And I've heard this before, but the mind brought me here. Okay, so the mind brought you here. And now that you're finding that it is not fulfilling the mind's objectives, but you're finding God, you see? Then you say, no, but how can I be that ungrateful to the mind? It got me here. So I'm going to continue to suffer for the rest of my life and maybe many lifetimes because it brought me here. Maybe, you see, it cannot actually bring or not bring. It's just a bundle of thoughts. Your belief in the thought makes it seem real, makes that hypnosis seem alive.
the one who decided to go with the thought.
Yeah. What does it want now? The one, good, very good. So the one who decided to go with the thought, so the thought was presented to it, correct? Now it has the power of attention and belief. So it decided to give its attention and belief to the thought, which is to go with the thought. Now that one, what does it want now? Nothing. And that one is also a source of true knowledge. It's not just waiting around, okay, somebody come and tell me what to do. It is the source of true knowledge. And any question that may come about why does it do like this then and all of that is impossible to answer, but we can say it's a Leela.
It has its own willingness.
Yeah, I mean we can put 100 different explanations for it and say, okay, we have understood the mind of God, which we really can't. But whatever satisfies us and takes away the question, like
Quenching the
that
thirst.
is quenching the thirst of the question. It's fine. But for the human intellect to presume that we can fathom the ways of God, you see, itself is a great arrogance which we don't realize. You see, we will not expect this plant to understand. You see, what is the will of God? Why is He doing all this? Why did He create this? It's a plant. Why are you asking Him? You see, but we are also like that only. We have no such great intellect or something like that can understand God.
Mind can be used as an expression of that, right?
That's a difficult attempt, you see, because you will have to work very hard to find like the nuggets of truth which your intellect will have to sieve out and present. Rather than that, just follow your heart moment to moment. You see, then without any effort, your words are scriptural. So why you want to do all that work then, when your heart is already there? What wants to defend the mind so much? कुछ तो यूज होगा उसका, उसका यूज है. The use of the mind is to present you about a story about your life. To present a story about your life where your life really is so broad that it cannot be defined. But in the story, we have taken ourselves to be a storybook character. That's why life is so full of up and down. I am giving you a true foundation so that your life can be lived in God's light, where your love is not shaky, where your trust is not shaky, your faith is not shaky. All these things you get used to living in a way that is independent of the events and the people around you. It is independent of how your body is behaving. Because our lives are so unstable at the moment. And we are looking for stability through conceptual understanding. But we are building more and more on the house of cards, thinking that one day this house of cards will become stable. But it doesn't happen. The more we build on the house of cards, the more unstable it is. What can give us stability? That which is unchanging. Our beliefs, our thoughts are constantly changing. How can that give us more stability? Not possible. You see, but if you say, give me the true life with a solid foundation, but I want to keep building my house of cards also, that can't happen. And that's why I said you have to first risk it all. Let that house of cards be blown away, because it's not real anyway. If the real could be blown away, then even the real would not have any value. But the real cannot be blown away. This is where that which we've understood, the conceptual spirituality now hits the road. Now the rubber hits the road. We know real is unchanging, everybody knows. But now the real is unchanging, but you're scared about something going. That cannot be real. So it becomes an applied spirituality, not a conceptual one.
So while you are explaining, sometime you used word Atma for that presence of being, and you also use God.
Yes.
Is that Paramatma? Maybe this is a very mental question, but you have used sometimes the word Atma, sometimes you use Paramatma. So it's the same thing or different?
So when you look at this presence, you can experience it. You can experience it. But what is the boundary of this presence? No boundary. So can you experience something with no boundary? Try to perceive or experience something with no boundary. And yet you can experience it, the Atma. You see? So although it is the Paramatma which is beyond the bounds, the presence which is experienceable, and we'll come to perception in a moment because it's even trickier than that. You see? But that which is experienceable, you see, that we call the Atma. This is actually not distinct, they're not two.
Sense of being is one.
Yeah. So the presence of being we can call the Atma, the being itself we can call the Paramatma. So the presence we can confirm. But what is the boundary dividing line between presence of being and being? Between Atma and Paramatma? $1,000 for one who can find it. Find the dividing line between Atma and Paramatma.
Mind. Mind.
No mind, no Atma, no Paramatma. Sorry. Me.
But I feel like the presence is confined only to this framework.
The presence is in the frame. Check that. Like, how do you recognize the frame?
There is a boundary beyond the
Boundary of what?
Beyond
The
that,
what confirms the boundary? How is the boundary perceived?
by attention.
With the sensation. No?
Yeah, with the
Like you have the
Mm.
like. Do you have ears right now? Now you do.
Yeah.
You see? So when you confirmed it through the sensation, right? One of my first gurus told me that you don't know you have a ear unless I turn it. Yeah? So you have that sensation. So that sensation, suppose there's a boundary of sensations, although that is not your experience. Suppose it creates a boundary, a solid boundary of sensations. Do you find that your presence is restricted to one side of the sensation?
I was just checking that, and to wherever my attention can go, I can see the presence.
Exactly.
I mean,
So it's not confined.
but still, I can go till only where my body exists.
No, you just said that wherever your attention can go.
Yeah, the attention can.
So your presence is not here.
I cannot say that.
Can you send your attention somewhere where your presence is not? Let's try.
For me, the presence it feels like a vibration within.
Yes,
this.
it's good. It will feel like a vibration there. It's fine. But
So I
it's
was
not a
checking.
physical thing. You see, because then if you were to send the medical equipment there and measure the vibration, you won't get anything.
Yeah.
That's why all these medical tests for this is all nonsense. Because it's a different realm altogether. It's like saying, okay, once I find that I'm not the dream body, how will the dream body change after that discovery? Let's do some brain scan. Nonsense. And it's just like a dream body. Whether it changes or not is up to the dreamer.
So even if presence is there, like you're pointing out, still I can see it only within this.
Then how do you know presence is there?
So
Send
I'm
your
just-
attention outside your presence.
No, that's not possible.
How you know?
So only when the attention is here, I know there is presence.
No. I am saying that, okay, try to hear some traffic from the road.
Yeah, no, my
You
attention.
can hear it, no? Because I reminded you. So, now, did your attention go independent of your presence?
I mean, when I'm hearing the traffic, I can't feel the presence.
Okay, so as you're hearing the traffic, you are not there.
I am there,
Where?
here.
But in the sensations that are being experienced, where are they being experienced? Inside you or outside?
Inside me, but
Inside you and the body?
I feel like in the body.
Check. All this world is being perceived within us. Okay, let's start with a simpler experiment. Maybe you've not heard me say. When you close your eyes and you go within, inside what are you going? Everybody says this in spirituality, na? Andar jao, go bhitar jao. But kiske bhitar?
Maybe I'm just drawing the attention back.
Where does it go? When you go within what are you going?
No.
Huh?
No.
No way. You're going within.
Stop paying attention to outward things.
Okay. What if I say to you now, close your eyes and imagine a tree which has pink flowers. You can see it, no?
Yes, outside.
So is that outside or inside?
Outside.
Outside. But outside what? Outside what?
I.
Is it?
Outside I.
Outside? Outside I, you can travel something which is outside of you with your attention. Is it true? What determines the boundary of I? Even these most simple things we have never seen really. As somebody asked, so if everybody says go within yourself and they're meaning within the body, then if I close my eyes I should see X-ray, no? Isn't it? I should see my bones, flesh, I don't need to do a CAT scan, CT scan, all these things. I should just be able to go within the body like this. And within the body, where is the organs, where is the blood, where is the flesh? So this is not within the body. What is that screen on which you can project your imagery? What is the screen on which your thoughts are presented to you? What is the screen on which emotions are presented to you? Where is it? So this is the mind's trick. The most simple things we don't explore. Everybody has this in and out, apparent in and out. But nobody has asked, where is this in? Beyond these dimensions of this world. You had states, you may call it meditative states or half sleep or whatever states, where the world is not there. Where the dimension of time is not there or space is not there. You had that experience within you. But within what? Can't be within the body. No? So what are you that can have these experiences within yourself? What are you? If you were just this body, close your eyes, go within, would mean I see flesh, I see blood, I see. What is this? Where do you have your dreams? In dreams you can create universes, unending space, unending time. Where do you create it? You say in the mind. What is that? And how do we know this is not that? You go to sleep tonight. We can have this conversation, no? In your dream also we could be having it. How do you know this is not that? So we haven't really fully explored what is going on. And my job is to shake you out of this apparent nature of reality. Because it seems so compelling, but it's not true.
In that same way, can we ask the that what notice, we could notice that that dream has gone? I mean, something notices now.
Yes.
Not
What
really.
has remained? That dream body is gone, that dream life is gone.
You know,
Sometimes we feel sad it went, and sometimes we feel happy it went.
Yeah.
Either nightmare or beautiful dream, whatever. And now this is here. What noticed?
Yeah,
Who is the constant?
But you know it's you. I mean,
You know it's you.
noticed it.
But which you is that?
Yes.
How is the contemplation about today's contemplation? Is it?
It was very nice in the morning. We were, I was saying that, and it's just I felt it was just a recognition. I didn't have to go 1 inch to know this was a dream. I didn't have to move even an attention to know it. Something already knew it. And it was not a movement. I mean, it was not a doing. And then we came to this presence. So then, it suddenly switched to this presence which you point to could probably be the one in which it came. I don't know, and then we just became silent.
It's a beautiful one. This one is one of my favorites of all
I know
time.
that story is something else, Because it's like the first thing in a city that didn't exist, then there are 3 princes.
Okay.
I mean, literally.
And 2 were never born. And
Yeah.
one was dead on arrival. So what
Yeah,
is it?
And that initial one where it says that once you wake up, then you realize that even this bondage and liberation was part of your dream.
Okay, so quickly can we come back to where we started? So, the true knowledge which is intuitive inside shows us the presence of our being, which our mind cannot understand. See? So, if I've even got you to a point today where you admit that there is a being within you which your mind cannot fathom, then it's been good enough as a satsang. Is there a being within you which your mind cannot understand?
Yes.
Or meet in any way? And your senses cannot truly capture, although you may sense like a primordial vibration of that being, but you're not really able to answer, is it manifest or is it unmanifest? Is your Atma manifest or unmanifest? You can't answer it. You see, because although you may say, I can experience it, it's here, it's like a vibration. I say, okay, what is boundary, what is its color, all that is unanswerable. But for it to be manifest, it needs to have a few attributes, at least one attribute. So, you meet God in this intersection of the manifest and the unmanifest. You meet God in this intersection, so you've gone beyond just taking the manifest to be real. You see, because this is your primal experience of that which is beyond just the manifest. Your own presence. Am I the only one excited about this? I'm just so excited about this. I'm saying that beyond time and space, you're meeting an intersection point where the primordial vibration of God is recognized. Can you imagine what our life would be if this presence was not discoverable even through this primordial vibration?
No life.
Hell.
No life.
Huh? No life, exactly. No life. So this God's presence, God's light. Some of you have some fears, like you keep saying God's light, but I don't see it as luminous. You keep saying like this, but it's okay, don't rush. It doesn't have to appear luminous to you. It may not be experienced with luminosity. You see, that's a byproduct, it's okay. As long as you can confirm that I am. It's clear, it's apparent. You're not thinking it, you're not perceiving it. It is apparent to you only intuitively. Yes? So this intuitive insight, latch on to it with all your might. Don't leave it, come what may. The world will tempt you with thousands of offers. Come like this, it'll offer you spiritual experiences, it'll offer you chakras, it'll offer you kundalini, all that is fine, I'm not against any of that. But I'm just saying that at any cost, don't leave this light. वो सब होता रहे, it's okay, doesn't matter. You see? Latch on to this. And yeah, I've been using an inelegant example, which is to say that like a dog which has caught the scent of its master, okay, just don't leave that scent. Come what may. Okay? Just follow that scent, keep with that scent. Because you have latched on to the scent of God. Your presence is the lifeline from God. Your Atma is the lifeline from the Paramatma. Look at it that way. It's much beyond that. Don't leave it at whatever the cost may be. And when you leave it, then don't feel guilty about it. Don't continue the adventure. Return home immediately. You see? That's what happens. No? It happens here also. I decide, okay, 36-hour fast. Huh? Then my kids will say, Pa. Once you break it, then you are just like, okay, now broken, give me this also. So don't do that. Even if in a worldly diet you may do that, but with this, don't do that. Once you recognize that you've been mindy, don't continue that compulsion. Return home. Nothing is lost, there's nothing to sit and feel unworthy about and waste more time and all that nonsense. Just come back. Just live like this, open and empty. It may, to the mind, this version of life may seem very lifeless and boring and without ambition and drama and friction and boredom and all of those things. You see, it's like, what is the point of living like this? But I promise you that just like few seconds in a life like this is worth more than lifetimes. Because this is your true life, your eternal life, which is not bound by life and death. I left the spotlight on her because some other questions came. But you're still with me or no?
In fact, in one of the questions in our leaders, I asked you that this would be a zombie life, without when you are when you are with your intuition. It's like
that's where the zombie life thing came.
But then you
reversed.
Yeah. The other day you in one of the Satsang you
a
mentioned.
life which is going to end in death, is that a zombie life, or the life which is eternal is the zombie life? How would you define a zombie? Already dead, isn't it? A zombie is already dead. So that which is dying is already dead. That which is eternally alive is your true life.
Is it possible to be in this presence and operate in the outside life?
Is the sharing of satsang like something which is unintelligent, or is it like nice and intelligent?
No, Father, I didn't get it.
Is the sharing of satsang, does it seem like an unintelligent exercise, or it seems like full of intelligence?
No, the reason.
No, I don't mind. You can say. Like sometimes I read a transcript and I feel like that's pretty cool actually. So if it has that intelligence, then and if I'm saying that it's coming straight heart to mouth, I have no idea what I'm going to say next. I'm also hearing the words like you're hearing. Then it is possible to live, like that.
Father, but is it required for us to dwell in it, soak in it, be in it for some time for us
Whatever
to
you can
full...
do in it, do it in it. Dwell, soak, marinate, be, live, whatever. But what's the problem in it?
No problem.
Why would you want an adventure outside it?
No. When I step outside, it's mind just gets on to something else. So
Yeah, so don't step outside. That's all I'm saying. Don't step outside. You're absolutely right, firstly, that you're already it. The stepping outside is to go with the hypnosis of the mind. You see? So I'm just telling you to chill. And for a while, of course, that seems like effort because we got used to it. No, I've taken the porter example very often. We got used to lifting bags from the conveyor belt all our life. You've done that. Somebody says, "No, you retired. You're fine. You'll be absolutely comfortable." The addiction is still there to go pick up. You see? So for a while, it will seem like effort to not pick up the bags. That's all. What is more effortful, to use attention and belief to identify, or to let it all come and go? What is more effortful? Because that is taking up energy. But because it is a habit, like my son, if you're sitting next to him, he's always shaking. And like rapid rate. So now I just press it, stop, because he's shaking the whole. If you've seen him, you know that half the house will shake when he shakes. So you just have to tell him, let's stop. Now, because that is the habit, it can seem like that is an effort to stop. But once he gets used to it, then it will become natural. So it's like that. Got used to referring to the mind to find the truth. Even now we may be saying, what is happening now? What is happening means what is happening in the world, what is happening to me. Where do we go for those truths? Where can we go? Because the mind will present to you some version of this. No? It was nice when he was talking about that, but now it's a bit boring. Now it's, you see, this makes the conclusion, but it has nothing to do with this. And if you did not have the Sadguru presence within you, which is another word that I use for this, then it would all seem lost. Because then there is no source of intelligence. There's no source of insight, but you have this. So I've given you two things to really explore and hopefully change your life. One is that God is within you. It's not fiction, it's not conceptual, it's fully literal, fully real. And the second is that without your mind you are not lost, you are actually found. Both are completely contrary to the way of the world. Both are completely in opposition to the way of the world. And there you have to take a stand. Are you willing to stand out from the crowd? Are you willing to get off the beaten path and risk it all? Because don't expect that you will find this or you will agree to this and people will start falling at your feet immediately saying, Guruji, you've come. Yeah? It's like that will happen. For a long time people will fight you and say, balance mein karo. There's time for all of this. You're too young. Yeah? They'll tell you all this. And this is what the mind may be fighting even now. This is too much. This is too much. You need to balance it out. But there is no such thing as balance. Those who are trying to achieve the yin and the yang perfectly, that they cannot do. God has already done it that way. Is that balance? No human can achieve. No? It's just the natural balance of God's creation. We try to do it. We don't even exist. We want to do it. If you're willing in your heart to love God without any balance, you're willing in your heart to love God limitlessly, then I'm fully in service to you. That kind of fire is what I am a servant to. And that may appear sometimes as an aversion to the lies, an aversion to Maya, or a love for the truth. Either way it may come. Both are the same. It may appear as a dispassion of Ram. The dispassion of Ram in the Yoga Vasishtha, where you go through the entirety of human existence and says, what is the point? Is it? Who posted this? Somebody posted a very nice one, no? In the Discord, where somebody said, like a meme, where they said, first I was like, oh, life is meaningless. But then after meeting Ananta-ji, I'm just like, life is meaningless. And there's something beautiful about that, because I'm saying that life is not meaningless, but we must get over the arrogance about our heads that the meaning of our life can be determined in our mind. You can find the meaning instantly in your heart. You are not confused about anything at all. But you must stop following this pride of the mind which says, I can understand the meaning of life. Because we can't. In the absence of conceptual grasping is freedom. grasping conceptually is to be open and empty, is to live in the unborn.
So it's easy to, it's really easy to live in with the intuitive insight, but the consequences are difficult. The consequences are difficult.
Living in intuitive insight is easy. Always. Living always is easy, no, in the intuitive insight. Then who's facing the consequences?
Okay.
Where to go? Where? Going back home?
So I was talking about the consequences.
Consequences.
So maybe with an example. So my wife asked me on 21st, can we go for a dinner at XYZ place?
21st.
Somebody is invited. So I have no answers, right? I don't even know what she's asking. I don't know when is 21st.
Intuitively, you are blank.
I'm totally blank and I'm not responding. So already I have consequences there.
Yes.
Yeah. So
You
then
don't have. In your heart, like थोड़े थप्पड़ वप्पड़ लग रहे हैं.
That's what you call the
But
price.
what I'm really saying is that as long as we stay in the heart, you see, we cannot experience hell. Is it possible to stay in the heart and experience hell?
Mind is compulsory for that.
Huh? Yes, exactly.
So my family is already in hell. So whether I answer or don't answer it, they will be still in hell.
In a way,
way.
right? That if they're living like just a mental existence, then it can seem like a comfortable hell. Comfortable because it's familiar, and the risk seems too much to dive into the heart. But if you stand your ground, it's my hope and it's my blessing that they will also see that it is possible to live in the light of God. This is the thing, that first the mind will try to attack you. If they can't attack you from here, then it will use other instruments to try and attack
Others
you.
might.
Just to attack you, like thought. But you cannot be shaken unless you are buying into thoughts about their thoughts. Now, first it will use everything to try and shake you out of this. Then maybe they will see that there is something to a life like this. They will see that there is something to a life like this, which may become attractive at some point. It's very rare when people believe that they are winning in life. Make this something out of it. But when their throats are getting squeezed, and life squeezes everybody's throat at some point, you see, then this seems more attractive usually. So when there seems to be power in worldly things, material desires, experiences, money, all of that. As long as all of that is there, this may not seem that attractive. So, but when you are squeezed, they may see that even in these circumstances you are unmoved, unshaken. There is something to that. You know what the mind would really love? The mind would love that you forget about everything I've said today. I love that. It's just like a bad dream. Just get over it. Forget I said it. Because most of us, before coming to Satsang, we have a comfortable, seeming, conceptual relationship with God. You have an idea about it. When you're really troubled, you may pray a bit. It's like a wish fulfillment or assistant sort of super Siri or super Alexa or something like that. Super genie. It's like, I'm in trouble, please help me. And when it works, you're like, thank you. And if it doesn't work, you're like, you will never help me. This is the kind of relationship that we usually have. Now I'm telling you that there's a greater reality, that your very presence, your Atma is God's presence. So God is living as a living presence within yourself. And that must change us somewhere, unless we forget about it. You may leave this hall and say, forget it, he's a crazy, deluded old man. But if you don't find a valid reason to forget it, which means that you don't feel that I'm lying or crazy or deluded or foolish, then you must not let your mind obscure this from you. I have told you that God is living within yourself. Is that not worth exploring? What if it was true? If God's light was truly within you, suppose you heard it from, like Krishna appeared or Ram appeared or Jesus appeared and they told you. That the life of God is within your heart. What would you change about your life? Not outwardly, but inwardly. If it was true, what would scare you now? What would you be worried about? What would you desire? What would you regret? What would you be proud of? If you realize the greatest and the only existent is within your heart. And if I also told you that not only is this light of God's light the creative light of this universe, that means within this being, all these perceptions, they appear and dissolve. But also that our true guide and comforter, the Sadguru presence, is always available to us. And all true insight and love, insight being Atma-Gyan, self-knowledge, and love which is not dependent on events and circumstances, is only to be found here and all true answers are also only here. And your reality and who you truly are is apparent to you. Self-knowledge is apparent to you only here. Then this should compel you for a complete overhaul of your operating system. Of course, it is very likely that the mind will hypnotize you again quickly and say, come, all this is good for later. It's good for later. Because this battle actually is for time. The mind will keep saying tomorrow. Aaj kare so, kaal kar. It will keep saying, and this is what Kabirji was talking about. He was not talking about homework. This is the reality. The mind will keep postponing it till tomorrow. You can find yourself tomorrow. Today you finish your emails, or today you finish your work, or today you finish your whatever. And soon it will be game over for this life. There is no better time to wake up than now. Wake up. Find that which is unchanging. Stop chasing that which is dying anyway. Because you have a chance at eternal life. You have a chance to discover the eternal life already within you. But you have to be willing to risk everything you have. You have to be willing to risk a worldly death, which means a letting go of all our attachments, to empty yourself for this grace to unfold in your life. Jyotima told me this one, no? That someone asked Bhagwan that it is said in our culture that in the last moment, if you remember the name of God, then we can find a home, a permanent home at the Lord's feet. And Bhagwan said yes. But how do you know that this is not that last moment? Does anyone know? So that last moment thing is not a postponing tactic, although the mind can make it out to be. We never really know. Will we wake up tomorrow? We don't know. When will we remember God? And now that hopefully I've made it beyond a question of belief and remembering, but a question of true insight. Now that most of you have a taste of God's light within you and it's not just a conceptual idea, you really have no excuse. Because before Satsang you could say, but I don't know. Is God even real? It is conceptual. But I'm showing you and you are finding. Now, provisionally, you made things worse for yourself by coming here. Because before this, you had excuses. Now, the light of God is apparent, and the ego's shadowy temptations are apparent. And you, as consciousness, are playing this game where you have given yourself this choice. You cannot deny this choice from your reality. I'm not expecting perfection, and neither is there perfection here in this expression either. But I'm expecting integrity, honesty, I'm expecting a willingness to let go. And that willingness and openness is enough for me. There are only two sets of terms by which we can live. One which we call my own terms, my way. But actually those terms are from our mind. From our mind, just ideas about what is the right way to be, what are the right things to do, what you should have, what you should not have. Nobody can say that I produced these thoughts or I can predict these thoughts. They come to us. They appear to us. So that is the mind's proposal. And the other way is to live in God's will. This, although is very simple sounding, it's very important to see, is there a third way? Is there a third way? A way that the mind is saying right, wrong, good, bad, do, don't do, want, don't want, all of these things. And there's an intuitive way, which is not emotional, it is not of the world. Is there any other way? And if there isn't any other way, then how is it that that which is more original to us, which is our presence, our being, our Atma, we don't call that way my way? We call the mind's way my way. Some voice makes a phone call to us and says, we must do this, we must not do that. Because if it was you, why would you need this voice to talk to yourself? But that which is more intimate, it is prior to this, the presence of being. We say that is not my way, that is to follow God's will. So I'm introducing you to the true way, which is in your heart. And there is no point denying the fear. This can be a bit scary because the mind will scare you and say, but what about this and what about that? What about my job and responsibilities and money and all of that? if it is auspicious, if it is good, then it comes from God. There is no other determinant of auspiciousness or goodness or badness that we have. The world has tried for many, many centuries to try and determine based on empirical knowledge to determine right, wrong, good, bad, but you feel miserably at it. So if you trust God to be the determinant of good and bad, then God will guide you towards that which is full of grace and full of light. But if you say, yes, I surrender to you, God, fully I am surrendered to you, but don't touch my relationship, or don't touch my job, or don't, that's not a surrender. Then you just made a boundary for God. So basically then that becomes humanity's favorite pastime, which is to ask for a God-assisted life and not a God-dictated one. So what is it that we want? We want a God-assisted life. So God is the assistant because we have the power to decide what we want, but God should help us. Or a God-dictated one, that God is the only true intelligence and He can determine what is best. And I have told you the way to follow God's will. You know that most spiritual people that claim that they are spiritual or religious just want God as a servant. We don't realize this because it seems like that is the right thing to do. We want to live life on our terms and we want God's assistance or service to us. I'm telling you that it is possible, what Guru Nanak Ji said. Hukum rajai chalna, Nanak likhya naam. You live in God's hukum, and that is the way of freedom. Please take it fully literally, and possibly we'll end with this. Rahim Ji said the lane is too narrow. It's not broad enough for two of us. If there is God, there cannot be me. And if there is me, there cannot be God. It's literal. There is not room enough for both.
Guruji, when you surrender some desire to God, then you fail miserably and your integrity gets questioned there. I mean, you feel a failure there. So
You surrendered the desire to God and then you picked it up again. You failed at that surrender.
Yes, yes. So then what
And
we
then
have-
who questioned the integrity?
It has to be mind only. I mean, it's that thoughts and that part. But then from our side, what we have to do is that we have to repeat the entire thing again, right? There is nothing else that we can do.
Yes, it's moment to moment. Moment to moment, the hypnosis of the mind is available, and moment to moment, God's light is available. That's all. We don't have to plan anything big or long term. Just right now, God is here. You don't have to beat yourself up, make yourself guilty and worthy.
Yeah.
It's over. God is here. Often I've talked about the 1-2 punch of the mind. The one punch is come, this will be fun, come. And the 2 is like, why did you come? You should not have done that. The same tempter then becomes the judge. So neither of those are needed. The instant you spot that you're living in the ego shadow, return to God's light.
And gradually, when the cycle is done many times, maybe that desire just gets softened.
Your job is just one. In this moment, be with God. What happens to desire, whether it goes or doesn't go, none of your business.
But you have taken a task of surrendering it. So that's the task you have picked up, right?
Okay. Suppose you have this intention that this mind trick gets me off, right? So I'm going to give it up.
Yes.
But can you give it up over time or just moment to moment? Only moment to moment. So if you keep returning to the checker guy saying, oh, you're doing well or you're doing badly, that is the temptation itself.
The evaluator part, we have to just forget.
You notice something. You know in your heart anyway. You notice. Then out. Finish. There's no point saying, oh, but I decided this and then this didn't happen, all of that. No, the self beating up on yourself is not needed.
Tracking is not required.
Tracking is evaluation, tracking. That's my job. The child in the classroom doesn't have to evaluate their own exam. Your thing is just two. Moment to moment, and just keep showing up for Satsang. The rest is my job. Otherwise, it becomes too. The checker guy is my arch nemesis. You know this arch nemesis? So, he is the arch nemesis, which will take everything I'm saying in Satsang and converting it to oppress you. What I'm saying is meant to free you, but it will take all of that and say, but Guruji says like that, so you're still doing that.
Yes.
It will be oppressive to you.
Exactly.
You see, so it becomes a new form of mental oppression using spiritual language.
I felt that over last week actually. So more of oppression than surrender.
Correct. Exactly. So now I'm saying to you that this one is very tricky because it will use everything I'm saying. So suppose I say now do this or don't do this, it will take that and start checking you on that. But Guruji has said do this, you're not doing, is it? So I don't want its assistance. You see? Just my saying and your hearing is enough for me. I will take care of it. So I don't need your mind's assistance to help me. Then you will be free from the spiritual oppression of the spiritual ego. Because the spiritual ego is the Maha Tempter. It's the Maha Tempter. No? Yeah, I am pure awareness. It's called good. Yeah? And then that itself, those conclusions itself will get shaken when your partner, girlfriend, husband, whatever fights with you or something happens. That itself gets shaken up. And then he'll say, see, you are actually unworthy. What awareness? Forget it. You don't even know being. Like, so don't ride that roller coaster at all. Don't care about its A plus and don't care about its F minus. Don't care. It will seem like you don't know how to live for a while because you're so used to being oppressed with this. See, all of us are so used to being oppressed with this constant evaluation about ourselves, about others, the world, that for a while you'll seem like the ground got pulled from beneath you. What is this? Is it good or bad? Nothing. Here, empty. But then you'll start living in your heart more. You see? Where nothing is so oppressive. And yet it can guide you very beautifully.
So then, Guruji, what is the framework of surrendering then? I mean, the word.
I told you, moment to moment follow, be in God's land. I don't want you to surrender for the rest of your life. In this moment you do it. 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 When you get time into the picture, then it will become part of the narrative. So I don't want the narrative wala side. I want you now, fully.
The time has the evaluative part also.
Yeah, the minute you take time to be a reality, evaluation is bound to happen.
Yeah, I think that's
If you invite Hulk Hogan into your house, you will get smashed up. So don't do that. If you take time to be real, then you will be bound to check how you're doing. I don't know how many of your kids even know Hulk Hogan. Undertaker.
No, Hulk Hogan.
Now where you going?
I'm like,
Huh? Usually your eyes give you away. It'll be like, okay, so what did I understand? Are you getting this? Got it. No, that is itself, no, empty.